G'day, 43 OG. How you going, mate?
Good, man. I was chilling out to
Cooking.
that intro. I love that intro, dude.
It's not
Love that
bad for
intro.
stock music. Yeah.
It's got that, like, I don't know what it's got. It's got like a tom or something that just sort of it feels it sounds like it's somewhere in the background, and it's good. I've got these
Yeah.
headphones on. I can hear the whole thing, so it's
Yeah,
good.
I've got the headphones today as well. I found a little bit of lag going with my my wireless earbuds. So I thought maybe with the headphones, I'd be slightly more snappy with the response because the lag just gets exacerbated by the fact that we're on the other sides of the country as well. So I thought,
Doesn't help. Doesn't help.
yeah, I'll try the headphones and I'll
All
see
this
if it's
NBN, and this is what we got.
They should have gone fiber to the home instead of fiber to the node.
Bro,
Dum-dums.
they should have just not done any of it.
Yeah, just Starlinked it or something. Like
They should have
out.
just done something else. I don't know. Whatever they did, it was a mess.
Yep.
Still
Agree
is.
with that. I'm just gonna see if the chat is can hear us. So if you can hear us, can you put like beers in the chat or some sort of like kangaroos in the chat, something so that I can tell that you can actually hear us. I might even try and put the comments on like a separate tab or something here, because I noticed
Actually, I don't even know why I put beers in the chat, because I can hear you through our thing, which does not help resolve whether the chat can hear. But they're putting in beer and loud and clear, so I think we're
okay,
good.
cool.
I think we're ready to go.
Awesome. I was just going to start with a bit of hopium, because everyone likes hopium and copium.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I feel like that's what we need. Because it's been pretty bearish, and even I was talking about last week about there's this potential fractal going on with the BTC chart. Now, it's not to say that fractal is not happening. And just to reiterate what I was talking about last time, I should probably crack my beer as well. There we go. And you shouldn't take financial advice from someone drawing squiggles on a chart and drinking beer at the same time.
Exactly.
But
cheers, man. I'm drinking my black coffee.
Awesome. Cheers, bro. I was looking at this head and shoulders from the double top, the BTC double top, and the neckline of this head and shoulders is kind of the resistance of this sort of fractal of this second head and shoulders here. And so I was talking about it last week, and when it was down, and I was sort of saying that if you believed this, it would imply like a 10% uptrend from this neckline, even 11% before the end of sort of September, potentially breaking down. And the target is like, where's that? Oh, there's a thing in the way. Actually, sorry, that finishes around about mid-October, and then the target of that head and shoulders, if it does break down, was the 20K, like 20 grand resistance, which is the all-time high of the previous cycle.
Just a more general question. Why do you think it is that not every September, but why do you think it is that it's such a regular thing that September is down? Is there any rhyme or reason to it? So is it just because that's what people expect, so it happens, or like what is the deal?
I think there's a lot of self-fulfilling prophecies that go on in crypto. I find it really weird that we can actually have some of these cycles repeat to sort of years almost on the day. And that's where I was going with this next part of that's the cope, and then I was going to give you some hope, that the 1-2. But it is odd that you get these patterns that reemerge, and it is odd that you get it might just be the human brain, like attributing patterns to where there is no patterns.
I mean, there's other things to consider as well. Like, for example, end of financial year.
Yes. Yeah.
That sometimes has an effect. Now, what's different is like in the US, a lot of places around the world, different tax jurisdictions, the end of the financial year is the 31st of December.
Yeah. Gotcha.
For example, in Australia, the end of the financial year is the 30th of June. In New Zealand, for example, I think it's the 31st of March. So different places, and some places don't actually. You can select your own end of financial year. You can just like say, oh, I want to do it on this date because it suits me, and do it that way. I think that might play into some of these reoccurring things, but
100%. There's natural deadlines, isn't there? Because so what you're saying is like people might want to sell before the end of the financial year to lock in
a loss,
so that it makes their taxes easier.
Yeah. So they might,
and then they can buy again.
They'll buy immediately on the next day, or like they'll sell late on let's say at 11.
And look at this
30, and then buy at 12:30 a.m.
I mean, check this 2nd of Jan. This is the week starting the 2nd of Jan, but it pretty much just pumped from then onwards. So my only problem with this was because I was like, the weeklies, the 10-week moving average is above the 20-week moving average sort of here, and the price was above everything. And I was like, this is an uptrend, So I was bullish from sort of January onwards, and pretty much got the confirmation here in March. But then this breakdown candle, that's what concerned me, right? When we broke down below the 20 MA on the weekly, and now we're starting to get this death cross. So you see the moving averages converge. So if the 10-week moving average goes below the 20-week moving average and the 50-week moving average, they're stacked the wrong way. Like for like a bull cycle, and a moving average, you can call this whatever, astrology for men or whatever, but moving averages is just like an accurate way. But like a moving average is an accurate way of describing the average cost over like a 10-week period. So that is, you could say that it is a mathematical metric to describe an uptrend. So it's not, it's not as like, oh, that's my cope. It's not as sort of mysterious as it is, because they're just literally averaging the last 10 weeks. So here in this almighty bull run that we had in up to the 70K or 69K or whatever, or 67K, you can see where the 10 MA on the weekly crossed over the 20, and then from here on they were stacked. So you had like actually, I should probably check what that one is. Also, the purple is the 50. The yellow was the 200. So that's even slightly more concerning. So this is the 50, the 20, and the 10. So see how they're stacked, and then the price was above all of them.
Is that January 20?
No, this
July
is
20, August 20.
August 2020, and that's like the start of the bull, right? And then that's like,
would you say that's the start of the FOMO bull?
FOMO bull. So this was what I was going to say with like, so apart from the moving average thing aside, and that's how you can like beyond a shadow of a doubt tell when you're in an uptrend, when you get those moving averages stacked. And you can get them stacked on lower time frames as well, like on the daily and the 4-hour and things like that. If you get it stacked like that on a weekly, then it's like you're just throwing darts at a dartboard and you're scoring. Like, everyone's coins are just doing well, so everyone's narratives just seems to be playing out. But really, I think it is just BTC, just Hart's law, just driving the whole market up with it. So what I was going to say was, sorry, go ahead.
I was having a discussion with my sister a few hours ago, and like I use certain people as a litmus test,
right?
For just sentiment. And my sister is not she's got crypto, but she's not into crypto, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like she's not into it. Like you know, let's say you or me are, that we're so into it, we're streaming about it, right? But I use it as a litmus test. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and she's just like, at the moment, it's just like, I don't even want to know about.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
It's just, I don't even want to know. So, but it's what I know from experience of just seeing this sort of thing play out like a couple of times.
Sure.
Is that it just takes all you need is a couple of big green candles, and all of a sudden
100%.
the focus shifts, and like it's like immediately it can happen so quickly that the focus just. So we could, for example, and another litmus test is how many views you're getting on these streams, right? So you could go from hardly, like, not many people watching to like 4 times as many people watching in 1 week, because people all of a sudden get excited and they want to hear people talking about, like, they get excited, everything just so this thing can ramp up so quickly.
Oh yeah. And that's kind of like what that shows, actually, is that you know, this ramp up period is not a long period of time. Like, so it's only really, it's about 6 months. So, you know, you can easily just miss out because you've, you know, just like rage quit, flip the desk, like, fuck this crypto, you know, do a silver tooth or whatever, and just be, I'm out.
What's a silver tooth?
He's just that guy. He's like a hex guy. And he has like capitulated like multiple times now. Like he's given up and thrown in the towel like publicly, and just had a cry. And Somi was just,
by definition, that's not a true capitulation than the first time he did it.
Well, no, yeah, he dyed his hair pink, and so it was the pink hair of capitulation. I think that was where we were like, once you've dyed your hair pink and you've rage quit, like, I don't know if, and then he came back, I think, and then but then now he's rage quit again. So anyway, yeah, you can use those metrics, and I think another good metric is when you start hearing people on the radio talk about crypto. That's when you should probably be taking some profits, because I really noticed that there's a strong correlation between just like shock jocks or whatever, radio jocks, just kind of going, oh yeah, so how do I make my own crypto, and how does crypto work, and all the, and it's like they're so far
behind. How do I make my own crypto?
Yeah, exactly. And you're just like going, bruh, like, maybe I should sell some, because this guy is asking about it, and they are just, you know, only interested in celebrityism. So for them to be interested is concerning. So okay, so anyway, I
always like to see multiple points, multiple reference, like multiple indicators. I don't want to just see one person, because one person can be saying that shit. You know, what's up?
How you going, Tan?
Never sell none, never sell all.
That's right. Let's go. Oh, bro, you're just in time for some hopium.
I've always on time. The universe always has you exactly where you're meant to be.
Check your orange clock, buddy, in the background. Your orange clock. What time is it? Is it go time?
This clock doesn't actually have numbers on it. No,
it's always go time.
No, I'm just kidding. Do you know what's awesome about a hexagon? Because it's exactly half the number of a clock. What a clock like. So a clock is 12 hours. A hexagon has 6 apexes or 6 sides. So even though this doesn't have numbers on it, you know that every time you go, like, so an apex is like 1, then the flat is 2, then 3. Like, so there actually is 12 points, even though it doesn't have numbers. So this is like, what are we, 1:45? Yeah.
Awesome. It's go time.
So yeah, that's
it's always go time.
It's always go time, bro. I'm so bullish.
Someone needs to register.
Heading up, Pulse is heading up. Fucking the excitement's coming back. We've got so much shit going on. I've got so much stuff going on in crypto at the moment that I run out of. Like, I don't know what to do first. Like I
How
told
is
43 I was going to edit those titles. I still haven't done it yet. Like,
can I just before we move on from the clocks?
Yeah.
How is Hex Clocks not a website where there's just all these different types of hex clocks?
Well,
like, how is
because
that?
motherfuckers don't know what time it is.
But they would know what time it is. That's the whole point. Like it's
yeah, you're right.
The whole thing is a meme.
Don't know what time it is. That's exactly the reason.
The opposite of what I just said is the reason. So, because hexagons do know what time it is. By the way, I'm going to put the link of this stream into the Tang Gang because I streamed with Crypto 7 last night, my time, his time morning, and
I saw a bit of that.
He was like, the engagement on this stream's higher than usual, and then I went and put the link in the Tang Gang, and it went up like 3x from there.
Oh, what? That's crazy.
Well, that won't be hard for this stream because where are we right now? I think we're sitting on 9 people watching. So,
there you go. I'm sure those 9 people are enjoying it.
Yeah, one of my IRL friends, one of my AFK friends, said to me, "Oh, I saw one of your streams and there was only 10 people watching, one of the Dilly Dow ones," and I was like,
"Yep,
bro, it's even though we're in a bull market, the sentiment is still bear market." Yeah. And so that's actually quite good. Like 10 live viewers on a relatively young channel while the sentiment is low. I thought that was
schedule.
Good.
You don't have a schedule.
No, unscheduled. Unscheduled. I give people like 5 minutes notice. Yep.
Yeah.
And at a time where it probably isn't an ideal time for like most of the places in the world.
If you go back and look at how many views you're actually getting later on. So I'll just have
that as well.
Here. So I'll go back and have a look here.
He identified that. He actually did mention that. He was like, "I'm sure you get more views."
Well, that's
replay.
You had 10 people watching, but now you've had 232 views.
Boom.
So
exactly.
That's a 20
gangs.
And more importantly, I'm getting a lot of compliments. Like I'm getting people DMing me. Like so, they're going out of their way to send me a DM saying, "We really like what you're doing with the streams. It's really enjoyable. Glad you're back to see that you're back to streaming." Awesome. I get like multiple of them a day. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, awesome. I think that's great that when the price has been really bearish and everything, and then particularly like Day 43 and yourself have like stepped up and just been streaming heaps. And yeah, it's awesome that the Aussies can kind of hold the flag for a bit, because I know the US guys got a bit stitched with a bunch of fun at their end. Yeah. So
tangent, and that idea you have about Twitter, like streaming Twitter Spaces, is like gold. I really think that's an awesome idea, because that was awesome. The thing I hate about Twitter Spaces, and I really fucking hate this with a passion, is I hate that when you want to go back and listen to it, it's the biggest pain in the ass. You can't pause it. You can't exit out of the app. You've got to have the screen on, all this bullshit. Otherwise it resets to the start. And if it's a long stream, like 3-hour long stream, you don't know where to put.
It's hard to navigate, isn't it? Yeah.
It's the biggest pain in the ass. So if all that stuff is going to get streamed to the channel, then people can just if they miss it, they know immediately they can go to, and you can say that at the start of the stream as well. Like you can say, guys, this is going to be
Twitter Spaces just get buried in the timeline, whereas YouTube, it's easier to find. Now, did I tell you guys that the actual idea behind that? So the idea wasn't just to stream Twitter Spaces. It's also because my chick friend Eve wants to do like a podcast with me where we talk mainly about freedom, and then obviously cryptocurrency comes in as a component of that. So that was cool. She's the one pressuring me to do it because I've already got quite a lot on in terms of streaming commitments. But like for her, I would do anything. And also, obviously, it's a topic that is very important to me. So we would have a freedom-focused Twitter space where she hosts or I host, or like one of us is host, one of us is co-host. We talk about these ideas about freedom, and then we simulcast it to this channel. So if that's not a reason for you guys to sub to this channel, then I don't know what is. We've got multiple shows running now.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. Because I noticed that when I was doing those physics in the PMs with that Graviton guy, there was people who, like, when I did the space, they were like, and then when I put it onto YouTube and I sent them the link, they were like, "Oh, that's awesome! I can play it through my TV now, and I can do it and shit like that." Where I was like, "Oh, so you put YouTube streams through your TV, but when I was sending
yeah,
the
you
Twitter
can
link,
Chromecast that shit.
they were just like, Twitter too hard. So
Yeah.
big time,
And
even though
and
it's
also
just audio.
if you have like YouTube Premium, which I recommend, like it's one of the
I've
things
got
I
it,
tell people.
Yeah.
I recommend you can turn off the screen and listen to streams like, in your car, like Bluetooth it to your car when you're driving, like all that sort of stuff without having to leave your screen on. That's one of the like subscriptions that I don't know if I could do without it, because I hate, I can't stand the commercials.
Yeah,
dude.
ads are
Oh my
annoying and
God.
everything. Yeah.
Big time. Wait,
Yeah,
bros,
YouTube Premium's worth it.
I'm just going to, I don't know. Oh, where's it gone? I'm just going to pull this back up because I want to finish this, this bull case, because like now tangents here, we've got the perma bull. I feel like we need to give the audience some hopium, because like, I was kind of saying just with this fractal thing with the head and shoulders that, this is like the bear case, I guess, is that it could go up that 10%, and it has been, following that right shoulder so far. But if it breaks out of this, right, then this is like nullified, and then it's like moon time. So if it breaks down, it might go to 20K, and that's like strong support, because that's obviously the all-time high of the previous cycle. So if it breaks out of this right shoulder, then that's like, I'm super bullish. So really it only has to go above, like sustained, like a weekly close above like 28K for me to be like, that this has sort of been nullified. And then I was thinking, how if you look at the all-time high to the bottom of the bear, and it's like exactly 365 days, how there's that like weird timing thing with the cycles. Like that's how I predicted the BTC bottom, like to the day, was because it was literally just 1 year. So yeah, it's there. It is there. So it's 52 weeks because I'm on the weekly scale, but that's the FTX candle there. And like, it is a bit of a coincidence that, the FTX handle, the FTX, debacle capitulation happened 365 days from, it's the other one. But anyway, you get my idea. So this is the 365 days from the previous cycle to here, right? To the bottom. That's like 52 weeks. And then, this is the copium. This from the top is 52 weeks. So that is the FTX candle. My mistake. Too many beers. So yeah, so that was the 1 year from all-time high to all-time low, which is exactly the same as it was in the previous cycle. So my thing was, if you went from all-time high to where it broke all-time high in the previous cycle, it's exactly 3 years. Not even joking, like not even shitting you, 156 bars on the weekly. That's where it broke all-time high, 3 years, right? So then, get this, damn Pepe out of my face. So then you do the same thing from the all-time high, 3 years exactly. It's roughly October 2024. But that is implying that it would break, 67K around that mid-October 2024. Now, I know that's like literally a year away, but still it has to go up 150% to get to that level just on BTC. So if you consider alts as being like a leverage trade on that, then that's a huge move. And it's only really got a year to do it. So whether it breaks down or not, or whether it just breaks through this and keeps going, if it's exactly 1 year from all-time high to all-time low, and exactly 3 years from all-time high to breaking the all-time high in the next cycle, then you pretty much got like a really good bull case for the next year, that we're going to see some big green dillies. And that's hence the, the copium and the hopium sort of aspects. Yeah. So anyway, that's where I was going with that.
So yeah, I was surprised to hear Don Alt on Trading Roundup. What's it called? Technical Roundup.
Yeah.
Sort of flip bullish, or at least admit that it was like the best that it has looked in terms of Bitcoin price on the technicals. Now, the on-chain, so like the on-chain data has been calling a bottom, like calling that the bottom is already in forever now. Like,
right.
And the longer that goes on, I believe the stronger that gets, because it continuously says the bottom's already in. Right? That doesn't get weaker over time. That gets stronger.
Yeah. You guys, you mentioned FTX before when you were talking about that trapdoor dip after the 2018 top. But let's talk about FTX's the sale of crypto that they're gonna have, and what's that going to do to the market? Is that going to be like a COVID-esque dip, or do you think they'll be careful about it and slowly sell? Or are they going to want to sell? Like, why would they, like, think about it. Why would they just dump that shit? Wouldn't they just like want to slowly scale out so they don't hurt the price? Like, are they dumb? Like, they'd want to.
Everyone's dumb. Everyone's dumb except us.
So they've got a court approval.
This is what you're talking about, right?
Yeah. So they've got a court approval to liquidate $3.4 billion in crypto assets. But why would they dump the chart for that? Like, unless there was some other. Yeah. Why would they do that?
Well, I think they can only sell. They can only sell up to 200 million a week. I think that was part of their thing.
Only 200 mil a week.
They can only cheat.
Brokies, bro. It's straight brokies.
I know. It's the poros. So
they don't hold any hex either, do they?
No. It's
no pulse chain, no hex. Which, I mean, it will still affect everything anyway. But
yeah, it was mostly Sol and stables. Oh, this isn't actually the best article, because there was another one that had a graphic. And it actually said that the ratios of each of the tokens. But yeah, I think they're pretty clever about that, because when I say clever, they're greedy, right? So they want to get the maximum value extraction from this
exactly
from this sort of.
It's in their interests. It's in their interests.
So they're not just going to cheat the chart, just fat finger it and just have it, slippage 50%. Although, you never know with these guys, but I'm assuming that they would time it. They would have ways of, either providing liquidity or, spreading the orders so that they don't just wreck the charts.
Unless, of course, like there is the scenario where they would do it to fuck up the. Oh no, I guess they wouldn't, because they're selling it to get the cash, aren't they? They're selling for the money. They're not selling to get a better position at a lower price. So I guess that, like, I was just thinking for a second, there's that that sort of model or tactic.
They're not trying to whale the chart and manipulate people's emotions and then replay it. They're just on there. It's a one way. They're just trying to get out.
Yep.
They're not trying to. So they're not trying to. Yeah. Good point. That's a good point.
They're more likely to try their best not to really damage the chart and get a decent price. So they might even just because they've been given court approval to sell doesn't mean they're going to sell immediately. They might just wait if they can. I don't know what. I don't know the details of this case.
And that means you just answered your own question. There are two reasons why people would do it in the way that damages the chart. One, if they're retarded. Two, if they're playing whale games.
Yep.
And there's lots of retardation, man. Like, everyone, if your investment thesis in crypto heavily relies on people not being retarded, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, exactly. You've almost got to, underestimate the retardation so that you do so well out of it. You've got to go in hard.
Yeah. You almost want to think like a retard. Like you want to channel your inner retard and
but never
Wear
go
a little
full
bracelet
retard.
that says like WWRD, what would retard do? And remind yourself at all times that the market can stay retarded for longer than you can stay solvent.
Is there a Pareto retard sort of?
Oh, the
course
80-20,
Of
the
course there
80-20
is.
thing. Yeah. Did you hear about this? The SEC also, they settled on that Stoner Cats case.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, so they had basically gone after Stoner Cats, which is like, it's got some pretty big stars in it. You know, Ashton Kutcher, Chris Rock.
Oh, yeah.
Mila Kunis.
Did you say Chris Rock?
This chick. Yeah, apparently that's what it says here. I've never seen it. I think I saw like an ad for it, but I think they.
I want Chris Rock promoting the cryptos that I get hard for. Why can't we do that?
Well, I think because they had the NFT would like allow you to go to watch the season of that show. Like there was like a cartoon. It was like Seth MacFarlane, the Family Guy guy, and they had actually created like an actual cartoon, and then the NFTs were like access to it. Anyway, they got done by the SEC, and then they just settled for like $1 million, which I didn't think was that a lot of money.
That's not a lot of money, particularly when you've printed your own money.
If you got like Chris Rock or whatever, just goes, you know, do you accept cash? Fucking hell, one milli. He's probably got that in his back pocket. So, but the interesting thing is that now that they've settled that SEC case, like what happens? Like, you know, if the money that gets taken by the SEC, that goes back to the people who were harmed by the investment.
I don't think that's how that works.
And it's like, or do they just pocket that money? Like
they just keep it.
SEC are just extorting.
It's just
people.
a punitive. It's just punishment for doing bad. It's like, do you know what it's like? It's like if one kid stole a Snickers from another kid, and the teacher comes along and says, "Hey, you're not allowed to steal that Snickers from the other kid. I'm going to confiscate this Snickers from you." And then the teacher eats the Snickers. Wait
up. Can I refine that analogy a little bit? It's like the teacher saying, I'm just going to actually just take a small bite of the Snickers and let you, the bully, keep the rest of it to eat. And then I'm going back to the staff lounge. That's what it is. It's fucking dumb.
That's so funny.
Yeah, they just pocket it. They don't give a shit. It's like a gang. It's like protection. It's like it's a racket. It's racketeering.
Yeah. Big time.
I want to do something for the algo. Everyone in the chat, do me a favor. Sure. There's a little heart in the chat box. There's a little circle with a heart in it.
Smash it.
Right? Smash that.
Light that thing up.
Smash that. Right? Smash it lots. That's good for the algo. I'm guessing it's good for the algo. I don't actually know, but smash it.
And speaking of the chat, I should probably just shout out some people here for sure. Red Squirrel, I think he's listening on the way to work, so shout out to him. Baseline.
I'm a fan of Red Squirrel. He's legendary.
Yeah, he's a G. Baseline said moving average is a lagging indicator. So yeah, that's a good point. So sometimes you're waiting for like the confirmation with the moving averages. Wall to wall, Ash, Baseline, Captain Lan. He's given us the guy with the Akubra hat.
Is spamming the chat there, isn't he?
He's got the guy with the Akubra hat though. That's like a Crocodile Dundee style hat. So
that's pirate cool. Style.
And yeah, Tom Gillespie's in.
Red Squirrel.
G'day,
are you? Can I ask? I thought this once, and I never asked the question. Are you a redhead? You don't have to answer it, but I'm just wondering.
That's funny.
Red Squirrel. And the other thing I thought about in relation to color, hex tangent.
Yes.
During the week, I was thinking about the Tangang, who I've got nothing to do with, but because you talk about them so much, it pops up in my mind sometimes. And
I don't think that I talk about the Tangang that much, but people tell me I do. People are like, you don't shut up about the Tangang, but to me,
maybe it doesn't feel like in the arc of a day that you talk about it that much, but whenever we're on streams,
it's the first rule of Tangang. It's the opposite of Fight Club, right? Is that you do talk.
When we're on streams, I hear Tangang a lot.
Yes, first rule of Tangang is that you only talk about Tangang. Fuck
so
yeah.
Is everyone in Tangang a Trump supporter because he's like the orange man?
I wondered this as well.
You would think
They make a lot of memes.
if you want to
Trump.
connect the dots logically, everyone in the Tangang must be a Trump supporter because he's the orange man.
The orange man. Yep.
He's the orange man.
And can I add to this? I have also, because I've been, I enjoy a good orange meme as well, but I have not seen a single OJ Simpson meme yet. And I was like, where's the OJ Simpson memes? Like, there's got to be an OJ.
There is one in there. I think there's at least one in there.
Anyway.
You are right.
He should be like your spokesperson. It's OJ.
Oh, yeah. He should absolutely be the celebrity face of the Tango.
Although, sure. I mean, the whole thing, yeah. I mean, I think he was acquitted though, right?
Innocent until proven guilty.
I think they never found the glove. Is my recollection.
Yeah, so you would think that, right? Like 43, your logic sounds reasonable, but having said that, I'm sure there are people in there that are of all sorts of a range of political affiliation. And by the way, I'm none, right? Like, I reject the power structure that exists. So I don't have a political leaning because to me it's all nothingness. So it's
almost irrelevant
I'm an
who's in
example
power.
Of someone that is in the Tangang that is not pro-Trump.
But if they weren't pro-Trump, they probably should be because he's the orange man.
Well, I mean,
at least for as long as the Tangang exists.
They have to at least look at all of these AI-generated images of Trump like kissing oranges and sitting like surrounded by oranges and wearing orange clothing and hats and all that.
Yeah, plus also Biden is pretty geriatric, like, he's pretty creepy as well, like sniffing kids and stuff. So.
Yeah, he's dried out. He's not juicy.
So yeah, that's a pretty easy slam dunk on Biden. I don't know.
That shit is pretty creepy though. That is pretty creepy when you see that video of him just like he's like even if it's just him with his hands on kids' shoulders or some shit like
they're so disturbing.
Sniffing people.
It's so disturbing, man.
It's weird. Yeah, I'm surprised that they didn't just impeach him over that. Like just be like, nah, you can't sniff kids. Like you're out.
I don't know if the fact that it's being filmed and recorded and it's in public, surely normally that would make it less creepy, right? Than if it was going on behind closed doors. Ooh. But there's a possibility that he's so just so mentally not there that he doesn't even realize he's in public is another way.
It's not that, dude. Can I give you my perspective? It's not that. What it is,
he's just like, where am I?
He is completely unaware that the children feel uncomfortable. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's completely unaware that.
Yeah, he's not reading a room, bro. He's not reading a room.
he's not reading the person he's directly interacting with.
Yeah.
Like, you see those girls are just like, get the fuck away from me, old man. Like that's the body language.
I saw a meme with that and it had Biden basically doing that to one of the kids. And then it had that alien face up against Sigourney Weaver from, Aliens 1 or whatever. And it's like right up against her face. And she's like, yeah. Anyway.
There's a Pepe one. There's a Pepe one where it's like he's got his hands on Pepe and like even Pepe is just like, oh, fuck.
Red Squirrel met up with Bluey recently.
Oh, no shit. Really?
Yeah, he's just saying in the chat. That's awesome, dude.
I met him recently. Oh yeah.
I rate Bluey very highly. I think he's a
Bluey's a champ.
Absolute legend.
Opinion on
Einstein.
Well, everyone's allowed to have different opinions.
Everyone's allowed to have an opinion.
But
I'm just joking around.
It's always good fun. It's always good fun to debate.
Bluey is 100% legendary.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure I'd love to chat to him about that stuff as well. Because even when you have people with opposing ideas, I think it's a good idea to be able to entertain opposing ideas to your ideas like simultaneously, and then you can argue the merit of each case, and then sometimes you learn something from the other person. So yeah, I think it's good to have people with contrasting opinions. One thing I was going to say about that Stoner Cats, right? So speaking of contrasting opinions, you know how like the SEC have gone after them, right? And they've done this $1 million settlement. There was 2 commissioners from this SEC who dissented from the commission's kind of interpretation of it. And they were like literally saying, like they've done some public statement where they're like saying that the NFTs, here we go. So, were we to apply the securities laws to physical collectibles in the same way we apply them to NFTs, artist creativity would wither in the shadow of legal ambiguity. Rather than arbitrarily bringing enforcement against or actions against the NFT projects, we ought to lay out some clear guidelines for artists and other creators who want to experiment with NFTs. So it's like, and they sort of go on to compare it to like other collectibles. And I just thought that was really interesting that they were kind of like saying, hang on, are we going a bit far here with just sort of saying that if people want to collect JPEGs, that all of a sudden, because there's money involved, that they're securities, when you've got collectibles in all kinds of forms of life, but just because they're digital, it's like, oh, it's a security. So these guys were on the SEC, and they were sort of saying that, the application of the Howey thing in this matter lacks any meaningful limiting principle. And basically just saying that it's like it's not conducive to having artists want to participate in this sort of stuff. I thought that was really important because like
it's good to see. It's good to see.
Yeah, because artists, like starving artists and things like that, trying to do, they're not well paid at the best of times, and then now they've got this new medium that they want to do it. I mean, it's not for me, right? Like I'm not really into NFTs or anything, but it's just interesting that they've really clamped down now on NFTs, and they've set a precedent.
NFTs offer you like so much flexibility to do things when it comes to blockchain.
Yeah, in terms of
sort of
like tokenizing,
moving
like
stuff around
stakes,
and
stuff like that.
Like ownership and all of that sort of stuff. So I think it's pretty clear that anytime like these agencies see something that's like they can't like capture or can't, they go after it. They want to sort of lock it down in some way, or because it's outside of what they can. You can't really do anything about like, I every time I try and argue points when it comes to crypto, I always like take it back, and then I take it back a step, and then I think about those, and then I take it back a step, and I always get back to the like right at the beginning, that this is just code and maths, and all of this shit is ridiculous, and all of this stuff is ridiculous when it comes to especially things to do with taxation. It's like at the very, like the best scenario, at the very least, like the most you should be allowed to be taxed when it comes to this stuff is like when you exit out of crypto. That should be the most.
Yeah.
The most.
Yeah.
Like anything that's going on, like on the blockchain or anything that's going on in the ecosystem should just be should be out of the equation completely when it comes to like tax officers. And I always come back to this.
And it would simplify things as well.
It would. Oh, yeah. It would. Because, and it's like I comply with everything I'm supposed to comply with but I have these discussions with my accountant all the time. Like every time we talk, I bring it up and we talk about it. And I'm like, bro, it's just like all these like interpretations from the tax office. They're just their interpretation of what the law says. Nothing about this. It says nothing about this in the actual legislation. So these are just interpretations that that the tax office have, and I don't agree with it. But if you guys are only comfortable doing my taxes in this particular way, then I guess I don't really have much choice, do I?
Yeah, I've seen that as well. Like with Coinly, I think they have with staking, you can
Pool
flag it as you've sent it to a pool, and then you can when you receive your end stake, and you take that as a received.
There
from
is a
pool,
problem with
and
that,
then
though.
you have to create your own like manual yield. You have to add in the yield as like a manual thing.
But do you know what the problem with that is when it comes to
done it for a
Hex,
while.
at least? The problem with that system, and I've seen that, and that's I don't use that system because of it, is that when you put it into a pool, it counts those tokens as still existing in your account.
Yeah, rather than being burnt. Yeah, I know.
And
I know what you're
that's
saying.
problematic. And that's problematic
Yeah.
because it shows that you've actually got something that you don't actually have.
And that's what I was saying, is that's the problem with that, accounting software, is that it doesn't have a proper thing for how Hex stakes work. And the closest, analog to it is the send to pool, return to pool. And you've got to, and then put in a manual entry for the yield. But that's not really how it works. Like, I agree with you. Yeah.
And that's why it's not right. And if all of this stuff was done properly, none of it would be taxed until it's exited into dollars. Like if it was done the way it should be done. And all this other stuff.
Richard Hart agrees with you. All of this is just moving ones and zeros around on the internet. None of it is really money, like until you bring it back to it. So, and that's part of the reason why it's so difficult to account. And by the way, shout out to all those companies that make their best attempt to automate these things. They do an amazing job considering. Coinly, Crypto Tax Australia. I think there's at least one or two other ones that do an amazing job. DBank's not specifically tax related, but they also do great portfolio management. Fatty.io by Buck. These, they're great. They're amazing what they've been able to do. And I agree with what you're saying, and Richard Hart agrees with what you're saying. And it would just make it easier for everyone, because keep in mind, then you wouldn't have to worry about the tax treatment of all this individual shit. It would literally just be like, hey, when it comes back into dollars, we'll sort it out.
It's all it is it's a massive overreach. It's like a huge, it's like, they're like, oh, if we just build the fence over this part onto your property, so far onto your property, and then as more time goes past and it doesn't get fought, like we don't fight, no one fights against it,
I think
then it's going to be established that is where the fence is going to be in future. That's where it is from that point on.
They realize they'll get less tax if they do it the way that we're talking about, even though it's simpler and makes more sense. So they're like, no, we're not doing it that way. We'll do it the complicated way that wastes everyone's time and fucks everyone up, because we'll get slightly more money, or a lot more money, or whatever.
Maybe they won't, because it's so complex that it keeps people out,
That's actually not a bad point.
Yeah.
Usually that's
more people are likely to just throw up their hands and be like, fuck it, I'm not doing this.
I don't want to participate.
Dude, that's what governments do. Like most of the time, this is what governments do, and without realizing it, because most people in government have never run a business and don't realize that regulation, like unnecessary regulation, usually fucks you up. I'll give you an example. Where I used to have my business, there was a gym that moved in close by. And I remember talking to the guy, and they kept having people from the council come in and say, oh no, you can't, like, you need to do this, you need to do this. And it was like back and forth. I understand you need some oversight, but their oversight was so over the top. It's like they didn't want a sink in a particular area of the building. It's like, why the fuck do you care where the sink is? Why do you give a fuck where the sink is? Fuck off. Let the business do the business thing, and you fuck. The sink is not going to drown a fucking baby, So fuck off. And that's the problem with a lot of regulation. It's over the top, and there's just too much of it. And because government works off the basis that they need to utilize all their money, departments need to utilize all their money to get that same money next year. Right. So these guys in these sections need to give themselves busy work so that they can justify their existence next year. And this stuff goes on it doesn't go on everywhere. There are some places that do their best, and I'm sure a lot of places do good stuff. But the problem that we're facing when it comes to government is there's no way to be efficient when these guys have a different model to what business has. I'm incentivized to be as efficient as I possibly can be in my business because that's going to give me the best outcome from a perspective of profit, whereby government is the opposite. They're incentivized to utilize all their budget and then ask for more every single time, which means your rates are always going to go up, your taxes are always going to go up. So that is not the way I think that we need to be doing things. I think we need to have some sort of system whereby there's an incentive in government and in government agencies to be efficient rather than the opposite.
Yeah.
I'll get off my high horse now.
No, I agree with what you're saying. And it's like their solution is to put in more layers of government and more layers of bureaucracy. And it's like, no,
that's always their solution.
Of what you want.
That's always the solution, isn't it? It's always
and there's parliamentarians that are literally just falling asleep in the backbench and just doing, F all, and you're just kind of going, and they're all just getting awarding contracts and stuff like that to companies that then, when they leave Parliament, they then go work for said company. So, it's pretty despicable. It's just corruption, really. No other way to describe it. I was just going to say one thing. Did you guys hear about this crypto wallet for Telegram?
I did not.
So apparently they tried it in 2020. Then the SEC, as they do, sued them. And then now...
Oh, yeah, I do remember that. I do remember that they were going to start their own crypto and then got shut down.
Yeah, got shut down. Now, this Ton Foundation or whatever, I think they moved to like Switzerland and became like a non-profit or something like that. And then now they're like relaunching it. It was pretty funny when I was reading it. I was like, oh, that's one way to do it. But yeah, I mean, if Telegram create their own crypto wallet, and it's presumably to pay for premium services, and Twitter is obviously, I think, because they've just got an exchange license or something like that, a money license. I think they're going to incorporate crypto as well. Then yeah, I think that could be one of the catalysts for the next bull run. Is if these sort of social media apps have got crypto wallets, you can just pay for services or tip between users and things like that. I think that's pretty bullish for crypto as a whole.
Telegram used to have something like a tip bot, didn't it? You could tip people back in the day. I remember people were tipping each other hex. They were tipping each other.
Oh, that might have been. Was it on D Live or? Oh no.
No. It was in Telegram. I remember back in the day, people used to tip each other like. Back in the day, I remember people were tipping each other 20,000, 30,000 hex.
Well, we could do that today.
Yeah, I think
we could do it today.
Yeah. I don't think that's like Telegram functionality. Those tip bots, I think, are $2 third party.
It was
Can
a third. Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, we're just talking over you. Go ahead.
We were just ignoring you, bro.
It just sounded like you guys weren't hearing what I was saying.
So I wasn't actually, because I was too busy laughing. What were you saying, man?
Third party. So those tip bots that 43 is talking about, are I don't believe they're made by Telegram. They're third party.
Bots. Third party. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But you could tip in those in the asset itself, though. So I'm not sure. But then you had to offboard, so it was almost like a layer 2.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it wasn't on the blockchain.
There's that. It depends on the
I can confirm that what Day 43 is saying is accurate, that people used to tip hex, but I have no idea how it worked. Like how it worked under the hood, I don't know.
Yep. And it depends on the chain as well, doesn't it? Because some of these use pretty obscure chains. Like I think that Ton wallet was on a was on a different chain, and then like you've got that Friendtech thing, which is on Base, right? But I haven't used that Friendtech thing. I don't know, but that seemed to be you can buy shares in people's names or something. I don't know.
That seems like that died really quickly. Like it
sounds
came up
too
real
close
quick.
to BitClout.
Yeah, I heard someone saying something about that the BitClout was very similar. So did BitClout die, Tangent, in the end? What happened there?
It was basically a scam.
Right.
I don't know if this one's exactly the same in its structure, but it's the same idea, right? It's effectively like leveraging the reputations of crypto influencers to create a market for these tokens that shouldn't exist.
Yeah.
And then because they always structure it in a way where the influencer themselves can actually profit from it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're more likely to promote it. They're more likely.
Exactly.
So it's like it's clever in a way, like it's clever as a marketing ploy, but it's not like it's a pretty shit idea in terms of actually being good.
It's
like not.
Yeah, it's like
shit.
tokenizing people's reputation or the celebrityism of them. So
they're like how can we just build something that sounds like it's for the influencer enough so that and have them profit enough from it so that they will promote it and use it, but where we take home the majority of that, where we can extract the maximum amount of value. That's the boardroom level discussion, that happens at the start of all of these projects.
Yep. Makes sense.
So then the exact details of how they implement it don't really matter to me. It's a scam. Like
it's like where's the actual mechanism which you are adding utility, like say with Hex, you've got the staking mechanism. With like PulseX, you've got your the buy and burn, and you've got yield farms and things like that. You can generate yield, or with PLS, you be a validator, or people just need the token to transact on Pulse chains. So there's all these like reasons why you would need these coins. Whereas it's like, why would you need a share in some obscure influencer? Because
and it doesn't even necessarily guarantee you access to them. Like it's up to the influencer whether they even will. Like it doesn't guarantee you that they'll actually interact with you. Yeah, it's like it's weird. Yeah, also I don't like this like weird popularity contest bullshit. Like, like where it's like it's kind of this weird, and because obviously if you're rich enough, you can just buy your own token up to the sky, right? So it's like, oh, look at me, I'm so popular, everyone wants to buy my token. It's pseudo-anonymous, so it could just be you doing it, someone on an ego mission. It's like, it's dumb. I think it's dumb. So I didn't participate. Once I heard that it was on Base, I absolutely didn't participate. I was like, fuck. Because there were, in a couple of Twitter spaces, people were saying to me like, dude, you are so knowledgeable and entertaining. Like, are you on Friendtech? And I was like, what's this Friendtech thing? And then I looked into it far enough to see that it was on Base, and I was just like, nope, hard pass.
Yeah. Oh, you're muted, 43.
There's one node on Base.
Well, that's what Matty Allen was saying. I was like, that cannot be right, can it?
Well, I mean, they control the node or nodes or whatever, and it's been like shut down a couple of times or something, hasn't it? It's like doing a Solana.
Yeah, at least once. And that's a deal breaker.
At least once. Yeah, for sure. That actually is an interesting point, because I was randomly looking up the Nakamoto coefficient the other day, as you do, because I'd heard that term before, like obviously Satoshi Nakamoto, that coefficient term gets thrown around a bit as like a metric for decentralization. And it seemed to me, because I mean, you guys might know more about this than I do, because I literally was just looking at this like last night or something, that they were talking about it represents the minimum number of nodes required to disrupt a blockchain's network. So a high Nakamoto coefficient means the blockchain is more decentralized. And then so what they take into account when they're figuring out this Nakamoto coefficient as a metric of decentralization, they take into account mining, the number of clients, developers, like commits and stuff on GitHub or whatever, and then nodes. But I think it's mainly to do with the nodes. And so there was like a list of chains which had effective, Nakamoto coefficients, and it kind of ranks them as like as a metric of decentralization.
We need to get Pulse on there.
I was wondering what Pulse Chain's Nakamoto coefficient would be, because we've got like 40,000 validators, right?
I think only 500 nodes though.
Yeah, so that's the difference. Is it like, if it's a staking node versus just a node? But anyway,
the node is a copy. It's not even a full copy, but it's like a copy of the blockchain, right? That's what the node is supposed to be.
I thought you could have more nodes, and then if it's a staking node, then it's a validator.
Yeah.
So my idea was that if every one of those validators,
but you can have multiple validators on one node.
On one node, gotcha.
So you can have
500 validators.
Yeah, you can just keep like putting in like you can have different validators. Like as long as you pay the amount to validate, like you're staking the amount for each validator, but you can have, let's say, 10 on one or more. Yeah.
So that'd be really interesting to see, because if Base has only got one node, then Nakamoto coefficient's going to be terrible, right?
It's going to be terrible.
And if Pulse Chain happens to have a good coefficient, basically what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to like suss out if our Nakamoto coefficient is good. If it is, then I'm going to like
is there an
use
equation?
Cognitive bias to like, well, I was just thinking, just contact these guys who have already, worked it out. They've got real-time coefficients for every proof of stake chain. It's like, dude, just do Pulse Chain. Like, can we just
can I give you guys the Tangang? So Bullish is always talking about this idea of that it's deceptive that people are on Twitter promoting that we have X number of validators when there's this thing that 43 has been talking about, how you can actually have multiple on the same. So there are these assessments that you can do, Dozer, where it's like IP tracking to get a better idea of how many of these validators are really just the same node, right?
Sure. Gotcha.
So that's one thing. And so he's not necessarily saying that we're not decentralized. He's just saying that we might be like 10x less decentralized than what people are claiming, or 100x times less decentralized. And so wait. And Cookies claims that we have a terrible Nakamoto coefficient in Pulse Chain. He says that we've got literally the worst, like the lowest it can be. It's either 0 or 1.
All right, I'll shut my big mouth.
But he could be but he could be wrong about that. But
I was just interested.
The part that he and I agree on is that it's all that matters when you're looking at censorship resistance is that Nakamoto coefficient. He hasn't ever sent me any evidence of why he thinks ours is so terrible. And we do legitimately have many. We are just diffuse, like we are dispersed, like the node infrastructure. So it'd be interesting to see. I think it's worth us getting on that chart, even if it is bad. I think transparency
even if it is bad,
king.
and then we can see what we have to do to increase it, right? Because it's about security of the network. It's about protecting against 51% attacks. It's about decentralization. So either we can, if it's good, then that's great. We can shill it. If it's terrible, well then maybe we need to.
And then if it's good, shill it. If it's bad, fix it. 100%. I agree with you.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, and I saw as well recently there was some updates to MetaMask. They've got these snap things. I mean, a lot of people use Rabby and other wallets as well, but that because of these snaps that they've incorporated, that you can basically bridge in like native Bitcoin using Shapeshift.
Yep. We talked
Onto
about that
MetaMask.
on the Late Show, I think, very briefly. Yeah, you can BTC.
Right. I might have missed it. Yeah.
Oh, no, hang on.
That's awesome.
Was it on the Late? I'm not sure if we talked about it. I'm getting confused with what. Either I
think
talked
you
about it in the chat.
You might have sent it in the chat. I think I actually got it from you.
That's it.
I think I got it from you in.
I know I brought it up.
Telegram.
I know I brought it up. Yeah.
I remember because I clicked on that link and I looked it up, and then I was like, "Wait, so it can show your Bitcoin in your MetaMask wallet?" I'm like, "That's cool," because it was always EVM, right? Like you could change whatever network, but you could never show. You could show wrapped BTC.
So I know
you could
that
never show.
Shapeshift is Eric Voorhees, right?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
He's been crapping on about Thor swap.
Yes. Does it use Thor swap?
That's a good question.
It might use the Thor chain or whatever.
It might, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if Shapeshift used that as, like, maybe uses that somewhere. I'm sort of just.
No, I think you're dead right. I think you're right. I think somehow it uses Thor chain in the way that it bridges the BTC, and then maybe it stores it on Thor chain and it just shows up in your MetaMask. I don't know. I haven't played with it yet, but I was keen to.
So we need to be clear about what's going on with that. That's actually not bridging and getting a wrapped version.
Yes, true.
What we're doing is we're bridging from BTC to Ethereum. Like you can, this is Thor swap. It's actually a cross-chain swap.
Right. So it's just wrapped BTC.
No. It's a cross chain. Like you're swapping a native token for a native token.
Okay.
It's a cross chain swap rather than being a bridge of a token like BTC to Ethereum and then having.
You're saying
BTC.
this. You're saying that this one is this Shapeshift thing is, or the Thor swap.
Thor swap.
I'm gonna have to look into it. Oh wait, Tash is looking at something. What's going on, bro? Did you get rugged on one of your?
Just went off a cliff, like
rugged.
You
had rug face.
As in the chart looks rugged. The chart looks rugged. Yeah, it looks full Squid Games. What the fuck? It looked.
You had liquidity rug face. Sorry, bro. If that was like you had any significant funds in that.
No comment.
The DJ games, bro. Well, I know how you feel. I have been liquidity rugged on a few, so sometimes I'll have like a hot wallet where I'm just like fucking around with different coins and just to try to see this and that. And then, like with the whole Atropa stuff. And then it was like, I can't remember one of them. I was just like, oh yeah, this could be interesting. And it just literally liquidity rugged on me. And I was like, no.
I've had that happen on an Atropa coin. Where I was like, this thing just keeps going up, and I bought it, and then it just went literally to zero.
Yeah, and you're like, oh well, that's the end of that.
I've oversimplified that story. I bought it, it doubled. I took my initial, then it dipped, it went down, and I got the initial that I had taken out and put it back in, and then the whole thing went to zero. I was like, I'm gonna buy the dip. I'm gonna buy the dip. And then the whole thing. So I would have actually been safe if I had just taken my initial and then been like, I'm going to moonbag it. And then it would have gone to zero and I would have been like, oh, well, it's like it never happened. But I thought, I'm going to buy the dip.
Buy the dip when you...
It wasn't massive dollars. It's fine. Like, fuck it, whatever. That's crypto.
That is a classic song, that old school... I remember that song when there's like... He comes out of the coffin and he's like, buy the dip when I'm dead. And he's like, buy the dip when he's eating dip. And there's all sorts of like, that was pretty funny.
Oh yeah. Those guys are actually pretty good.
It was,
I'm on the dip, dip it. I'm on the dip it. And it's like, he's like in the shopping center, like buying dip. He's like, buy dip, dip it.
Buy a dip.
And then it's got a little skit at the front that's not musical where he's like, hey man, oh shit, the markets are red, they're crashing. And he's like, whoa, stop panicking. That's good.
Yeah.
And he's like, wait, what? What do you mean it's good? And he's like, because now we get to buy the fucking dip. And it's like the song's called BTFD, isn't it? So
yeah, BTFD, that's right.
BTFD,
I think that was from the last cycle.
Such a tune.
That is so funny.
That's like 1 or 2 cycles ago. Like that.
It was a while ago. Yeah, I think 2017.
If you guys go on
funny.
YouTube and search BTFD,
yeah,
it'll come up. It's literally the first result on YouTube for me.
I mean, we could play it, but we'd probably get a strike or something for it. But we could put it on.
People could just watch it. I'm watching it right now.
What's your reaction? There was a few good ones like that. What was that Remy guy as well, when he had that dog money coin, that dog money like song, and there was a Bitcoin one. Oh, Bitcoin Millionaire. Yeah, there's a few like that were pretty funny. Oh, I'm glad we've turned this around.
Doing the one they pour one out for the homies. Legend gang.
That's funny. 43 OGs just walked off. He's just like, you guys are degens. That's classic. Let me check the chat and see what is going on.
Oh, by the way, this just reminded me. These guys did a music video with John McAfee.
Oh, really?
They've got, yeah. So if you go on their channel, they've got a music video that they did with John McAfee about crypto.
That's awesome. Yeah, he is so funny.
Fucking epic. It's epic.
Man. Did you see that RH interview? Someone clipped it. I think it was Impala. Clipped it the other day, and it was an interview with RH and McAfee, and he was basically just talking about how ironic it is that, you know, like Google will like read all your emails and go through, you know, everything, you know, follow your Google searches and just like destroy your privacy, and they still give you shitty targeted ads. And McAfee just pisses himself laughing. And they're talking about how RH bought a humidifier, and then it keeps giving him ads for humidifiers as if he's collecting motherfucking humidifiers. And McAfee is laughing his ass off. It's really funny. I suggest people watch that as well. But I saw that McAfee doco on Netflix. That was pretty intense, eh?
Is that recent?
He was like faking his death.
No,
and shit.
Old.
It's pretty old.
You're talking about that old one, right? Where they're chasing them and they're on the boat. They're driving the boat down.
He's going to like all these random islands, and he keeps getting done for not having passports, and they've got heaps of guns on the boat, and yeah, it's pretty intense. I think he was on a lot of drugs.
Yo, I think it's been made very clear that if you go too far outside, if you push the boundaries too far, they're going to come after you. They will come after you.
Icarus. Andrew Tate calls it Icarus.
Oh, yo, I heard someone talking about this during the week in a who was it? I think it was who's that jiu-jitsu guy who has the podcast, and he always wears a black suit with a tie.
Not Lex Friedman?
Yeah, Lex Friedman. I think he was talking to Mark Andreessen about this.
Interesting way to describe Lex Friedman. The jiu-jitsu guy who also always wears a black suit and a tie.
Doesn't you who I
knew exactly who you're talking about. Yeah. I was like, yeah, because he was training.
But does martial arts though.
Yeah, true,
he does. Yeah, that's why he knows. That's why he knew exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah, I like Lex Friedman. I think he's good. And he was.
But they were
training
talking
Elon
about
Musk.
this.
Yeah.
They were talking about this. How, was it him or was it? It was definitely Mark Andreessen. It was maybe the Huberman guy. You know Huberman?
Yes,
podcaster Huberman. Is it Alex Huberman, or I don't know his first name.
Yeah, I've seen a few of these things. Yep.
So they were talking about how there are these entrepreneurs who it's like the Icarus thing. It's like the only way to survive as an entrepreneur is you need to be very disagreeable and basically not give a shit like about all the obstacles in your way, and basically just have a driving force within you to just to punch through all of that shit. And there are some that like fly too close to the sun and it doesn't work out for them.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And when they were talking about this, and this is only a very recent podcast. I think it's only a week old. So people should go check it out. It's actually really, really important. I've been going back and listening.
Oh, is this the one you were telling me about?
I've been going back and listening.
You played clips of it. You played clips.
No,
of it
no, that was that was another recent one with Chris Williamson and Weinstein.
Oh, okay.
Eric Weinstein. The last week I've been going back. There's so many good long form discussions of really, really smart people that I've been going back and listening to, but this one was only in the last week, and they was talking about this, and I was actually thinking about when they was describing all these attributes of high achievers in startups. It was making me think about Richard Hart. I was just thinking about him. I'm like, oh, it's like tick this attribute, tick this attribute, tick this attribute, and the whole flying close to the sun. It was like triple tick on that one.
Yeah,
like,
I have a similar idea. I have a similar theory with when you see sports persons who have been like elite at whatever respective sport they're in, and then sometimes they end up being almost like in risky business decisions or risky decisions in general. One that comes to mind is Ben Cousins, of course. If you know what happened to him, but like the equivalent would be there's like, is it Tom Brady or whatever?
Didn't Cousins get into ETH? Oh no, that's
I think you're thinking of
Sorry, my mistake.
yeah. That was a dad joke. I like that. But it's because when they're on the football field or whatever sport, right? What makes them so elite is their ability to take risks so that they will duck and weave and get around the opposition in such a way that people will be like, holy shit, this guy is just like an anomaly because he just rushes the pack and takes this huge hangers with no regard for his own safety. But then in business or in their personal life, they also have the same risk attributes where they're like, I can take a bunch of meth and just run from the cops or whatever and just get OJ'd.
He got away, by the way. He got away.
But Ben Cousins or OJ?
Ben Cousins, when he ran from the cops, because he's so good at running, like because he can run. He ran. He fled the cops on foot, got away, and part of the path. So now, because it's in our city, and people do these memorial runs where they run the path that Ben Cousins ran to outrun the cops because it's like kilometers and kilometers, right? And part of the marathon, it's actually a triathlon or whatever. Or not, what is it when it's two events? Triathlon includes a bike.
Biathlon.
This is running and swimming. Yeah, it's actually a biathlon. Right? So it's a Ben Cousins biathlon because part of what he did to escape the cops is he started swimming across the river, and when he got about halfway across, he decided to just turn around and swim back. So he swam out into the river and then swam back to where he was
already halfway. It's the same distance.
And I know he must have just perceived that they were going to be. He must have thought, oh, they're probably going to be waiting for me on the other side. I'll fake them out. Swam all the way back to where he got into the river and then kept running. But he got away.
Tried to
got away. He left some chick in the car and just ran. He got pulled over by the cops with some chick who was in the passenger seat, and then he just jumped out of the car and ran. And then just kept running and swimming and running until he got away. But they're like, motherfucker, we know what you look like.
Yeah, they're like, bro, we've got your
But they couldn't test him. But they couldn't test him at that moment. That's
good point. Yeah. So it kind of worked.
Gotcha.
It's like that thing where they tell you
if the story is run from the police.
Well, have you ever heard that thing that like if you ever smash into another car, like obviously you shouldn't do this, but if you ever smash into a car and if you've been drinking, which you should never do. Yeah, and you drive away. Obviously, no one's hurt. No one's hurt. There's no. It's
not
just
legal advice.
You've just fucked up someone's property. Let's say, but you
so
drive
you just
away.
Flip the other driver your number. You're like, call me tomorrow, and then you just drive home.
And if you'd been drinking, you drive home and then have a glass of scotch the second you get home.
Yeah. I think leaving the scene of an accident is like a
Is a
separate
crime.
offense.
Is illegal.
Yeah.
But
Unless
leaving the
you're
scene
Troy
of an
Buswell.
accident while
Is a lesser
intoxicated
crime.
is way fucking worse.
It's a lesser crime.
If you go home, no, but what you do is you go home and you call the cops and dob yourself in, say, hey, I hit this car here, but I went home, right? And then they come, obviously they come home, but when they come to your
I ain't
self-snitching.
self-snitching.
I don't think this is a great idea, bro. I'm not sold on
I've seen too much drill rap to know that self-snitching is not the way to go, bro.
If you'd been drinking and you stay there and you call the cops and do the right thing, you are completely screwed.
Yeah, I didn't say that either.
Yeah,
unless you're Troy Buswell.
Unless you're Troy Buswell. Now, I don't know if you know that reference, but he was
was that the
politician
husband of?
No, he was a politician in our state. He was so drunk that he had smacked a whole bunch of parked cars on the way home, right? And then because he's like politician, he's rich as shit. He couldn't get through his own like gates. He's got these massive gates or whatever to his mansion. Slammed the car into the gate because he couldn't go through the aperture, the opening, and he's just sitting there. And then so there's the 000 call, and they've got the transcripts for it, and it's like, I just saw a guy who's just obviously drunk. He's just smashed into a bunch of cars. He's slammed into his gate. He's trying to get to his house, and he's like jammed it up against and he's just sitting there revving the engine, like trying to get through the gate. And he's like, now he's out of the car. He's a bit of a fat guy. He kind of looks like Troy Buswell. And it's like, then they came to his house the next day.
And it was
Troy Buswell's house. Yeah, his gate's trashed, his car's trashed, everything about it. And he didn't get sacked. He had mental health issues or some shit.
Yeah, of
and
course
he got away with it. And I was just like,
what? By the way, that plan, I'm sure I saw that on Law and Order or something. Like all my legal shit that I know about comes from Law and Order in some way, shape, or form. So that's not how you deal with it. It's just I think I saw it on some show.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's crazy, dude. Politicians can get away with all sorts of shit.
Unless you're a politician, I would not recommend it. Yeah. So is there anything else been going on apart from like there has been some positive price action with PLS and everything like that?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can.
Yeah. Bitcoin's been going up. Chain's been going up. It's good.
Yeah. Did you have any TA sort of insights or anything? Like let me see if I can pull this up here.
TA insights.
Like, so we've got Hex is up like 10%.
I did notice that. Like I started seeing in my portfolio these percentage gains on Hex. I was like, oh, that's good, but it's only just like because it just fucking capitulated so hard. Like it's still basically at lows. Like, so you see these positive green numbers on the day, but when you look at the chart, it's completely fucked. But I'm sure it'll get there. Like, as in, I'm sure it'll recover at some point.
Yeah. And so,
but it was like it sort of like faked me out. Like I was like, oh, sick, like double-digit green percentage or whatever. But it's like it was just because it went down hard one day and then was just bouncing back, and not even as much as it had gone down the day before. So it was still down, like overall.
Yeah. Still bear market.
The RH coins have had their own like little mini bear market, like because of that.
Fucking mini.
Well, additional. So, let's say mini bear market extension then to the bear market that was already happening to everything else. Yeah, basically everything but Bitcoin's been getting fucked,
bro.
Like, and some pulse chain coins that have been pumping like shit.
You could put it that way, Tangent, or you could put it this way that it's like RH tokens have had herpes, and now the herpes have got herpes. That's what's happened. That's what's
Yeah,
happened.
yeah.
And I'm expecting
What's
a full
happened?
recovery, by the way. I'm expecting a full recovery.
You're expecting
Not
them
me
to find the cure?
I'm
You're expecting
expecting
them
that.
to cure herpes? That's what you're
Yeah,
expecting?
I'm expecting for some. I'm not sure how, but somehow the herpes virus will be completely ejected from the system.
There you go. Well, in terms of ratios, it looks like there was a bit of a trend line with this hex PLS ratio, and that has actually found support off that trend line. So that was already there, right? And then so the ratio actually hex has gone up against pulse, but I noticed that PLSX versus pulse, if you plot in pulse, has actually gone to 4-1 or 3.95 now. But yeah,
No.
so that's pretty bad for PLSX against pulse to be around that 4.
Is that a
ratio.
good time? I mean, no financial
Depends on how you
advice,
look
but
at it.
is it a good time
Depends
to swap all your pulse into Pulse X?
See, that's an interesting thing. Okay, so
What?
some people say that you're in this buy zone because it's at the edge of the. That's assuming that it cycles back down. But for me, like, if it's in a
Keep
trend,
going.
it could just keep going. Like until the trend is broken down, this could get worse, right?
Yeah, you don't want to. I'll give you one of the extreme views. Let's try and give reasonable bear and bull cases, right? So, because you guys are looking at two assets relative to each other,
Yeah,
so it actually
true.
kind of matters like what the other one is doing. Because I think we would need something external to the RH ecosystem to really talk about this. But let's just say that I know people that think that, and actually, I'll just say it's cookies. He thinks that Pulse X is complete garbage. It's just going to go down forever, right? Now, if you believe that, then there is no point at which you would be where it would be a good idea to use your Pulse bag to buy Pulse X, even if the ratio trade. Well, I guess it depends on whether you're trying to just ratio trade back to get bigger bags of each. Then. So yeah, it depends whether are you ratio trading to try and build bigger bags of each, and you don't give a fuck whether they just both continue to just bleed out and go down, or are you actually trying to make money? Like,
is it going to oscillate or just go in one direction forever?
And exactly, that's the thing that matters. Is so if you believe the cookies narrative, that Pulse X and the incentive token are literally just going to go down forever because they were
I think in a bull
for
market,
two slightly different reasons, but the same reason that they're just basically over owned. Like that too many people own Pulse X and not enough people want to buy Pulse X.
Isn't Pulse X deflationary though?
The supply is deflationary, but that doesn't necessarily mean. Sorry, Dozer. It doesn't necessarily mean that you actually have got, because what matters is your ratio of buy pressure to sell pressure, not your ratio of what the supply is doing. The supply starting hot, like if the supply, because I could make a coin where I start off with a kabillion tokens and burn like something that sounds like a lot of tokens, but someone else could just make a cryptocurrency that just has way less tokens to start with. So buy and burn is kind of like a bit of a fucking, like it only matters if you
originally Pulse X was supposed to have some sort of voting DAO function. Do you remember this?
Single-sided staking. Single asset staking, sorry.
Is this something that's never going to happen, or is it possible that happens in future? And if it did,
I think they're still building. Yeah.
So if it did happen, the question is, does that change the like as it stands? We can only judge it on as it is now. But if we're going to like speculate, would that change the equation for people?
Yes.
If those things came on. Like
yes. Yes, because all of this is speculation and all of this is meme narrative. So if there's something that people believe is good for the project, then it will make the price go up.
Yeah, and
so
they're still building,
deliver
right?
on something, if they deliver on something that people sort of had in their mind as being something that was going to be good for price, then it will be good for price.
So if that was to happen, since we're in this is all speculation, is like, what are the chances that either of those two things happen? that we get
I think, yeah,
single-sided
100%.
stake, that we get
I think so.
single-sided staking, and we also get the ability to vote
In the DAO.
in the DAO. And the
Yeah,
idea
I
was that
think
we
so.
vote on the pairs that get included in
For the ink.
the
In the
rewards,
yield farms.
the yield
Yes.
farms. That was the idea that I remember. Now, if any of those things happen, if they come out, then that's, like you said, a narrative that could pump
Yeah.
price,
The
right?
only problem with that is, though, 43, is that the DAO, so because the OA sacked Hex for PLS and sacked it for PLSX, the
It's
OA
got the
actually
biggest
has
supply.
the biggest supply of PLSX and hence the largest voting power.
I got to just in respect to that, the OA's in Hex, right?
Yep.
But what happened with PulseX? The OA sacked to Pulse.
Pulse. Yep.
And then it sacked this, and then the Pulse, whatever was holding the, because from like, if we're going to like step back and look at it, we're calling it the OA, but actually that's a different, like it might be that we don't know who the entity is or what's in control. It could be a different structure of who's in control of those keys. So what happened then the Pulse amount that got sacked to Pulse then got sacked to Pulse X. So it did this hop, and then that could then be yet another entity, right?
Yeah.
Or group of controlling people, right?
It's just at this stage, it's just addresses. Yeah, it's a sacrifice address.
So we could call it OA for Hex, and then we've got like OA version 2 and then OA version 3.
Yeah.
In Pulse X. Now the question is, would OA version 3 ever actually vote if there was voting?
Good point. Great point.
Would it actually
would they ever? Yes, that's a great point.
Because what would be the point?
They certainly have the capacity to. Yeah.
What would be the point of them even doing it if they're just going to control they might as well just do it.
That was my point. Yeah. Like, what's the point of even having the voting thing when the weight of your vote compared to what the OA3 represents as their voting power would be, insignificant with respect to their voting power. So, but then, like you say, if they don't vote, then it's just up to everyone else. But then, so it's only choosing which farms get rewarded with the ink, or does it affect the emission rate of the ink in the yield farms?
I'm not sure. Maybe that is,
I think
open
the farm multiplier.
It can change. Any of it can change. They haven't.
Yeah, it can all change. Yeah. So I guess the thing is like they're going to put in limit orders. I think, pretty sure, because they had that on the test net. So I suspect they're still building. They've been mucking around with the Block Explorer. Yeah. So things have been getting updated. And so I do suspect.
Shout out to 9mm.
Well, I was going to shield 9mm until yesterday when I went on their Block Explorer and it wouldn't load. And
it's still indexing.
I'm in their Telegram. They're migrating their servers. So like, don't panic if you can't access it at the moment.
Because I fully was going to shout them out, and because I was using it.
Their shit's elite, man. Their shit's elite. And I'm not just saying that because they're part of the Tang gang. Their shit's like fully elite. But if you go in their Telegram, they are migrating their servers. So they said that there's going to be some downtime on the scanner. By the way, they only allowed people to access this shit early, like that. So it was just under such high demand and high necessity to have a decent Block Explorer that they even gave public access this early. It was supposed to only be beta access to the Tang gang for feedback. And then because there was just such a void in having a decent Block Explorer, they were like, fuck it, we'll allow people to use it if they find it helpful, with the big disclaimer of, hey, don't consider this to be like fully operational, fully stable yet, which is exactly what's happening now, is that it's not up. And remember, it was never even fully indexed. Like 43 noticed it was only at like, I think 4 or 5% indexed or whatever. So
last time I saw it was at 6, but that was a couple of days ago. So it might be at 8 or 10 by now.
Once they migrate the servers and fully index the blockchain, it's going to be the best Explorer.
Yeah. The layout is better. The layout is so much better than Block Scout. Just before we move on from the Pulse X thing, if like, so I just want to go back. If those things happened, if you, no, not even if those things happened, if you believe those things happened, then you would think that because we're at the best exchange rate between Pulse and PulseX, that could be something that people thought about doing. But if you take into account what Hextangent said, and yourself, it could just keep going, and then you make a mistake, and then you just get left behind.
I tend to, that's having issues. I tend to be more of waiting for confirmation, which means that you can miss out on, like, if you're willing to take chances, and when you have like a theory, then you can perform better than what I do. But I tend to wait for a confirmation of something. So when I was looking at that PLSX to PLS, and it looks like it's just the ratio is in an uptrend, as in PLS is outperforming PLSX, I would wait until it, like, that trend line breaks down before I start to suggest that, PLSX is a good buy.
And do you
I would just say it isn't until.
Do you guys think that news like that would reverse that trend?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
If it came out and said, "Hey, tomorrow we're rolling out voting on PLSX on the farms. We're going to start voting." Do you think that would reverse the trend?
I think so. Yeah.
What do you reckon, Tangent?
Sorry, I missed the middle part of that question.
Do you think if they were to roll out voting in the PulseX DAO for holders, do you think that, and not even single-sided staking, just if they were to roll that out, do you think that would reverse the trend?
DAO voting is a fucking LARP. DAO voting is a fucking LARP. No one has ever done it in a way that is actually legit. It's a fucking LARP, bro. Anyone who says anything different is a fucking idiot. Like,
no, that's okay.
It's such a LARP, bro. Like, it's such a fucking LARP. But aside from that, you guys already identified that even if it was done, there's an entity that can just outvote fucking everyone. So even if DAO voting generically wasn't a LARP, which it definitely is, DAO voting here would definitely be a LARP. But I still maintain that, remember going back right to the start of the episode where we said retardation is like a part of crypto, paraphrasing here. People believing that there's something going on that's good is enough to benefit the price. So it sounds like I'm contradicting myself, but I'm not. It's a fucking LARP, but it would still potentially,
it's a narrative.
What would make it not a LARP? What would make it not a LARP?
Well, so if the OA3, as you suggested, didn't vote, and then people started to vote that, say if you look on this farms ROI calculator, so the emission is always going to be 1 ink per second. I think they can change that in the MasterChef contracts, but at the moment 1 ink per second. But then they have this multiplier, so a 40x farm would receive 40 ink per second, and so they can change this farm multiplier for various farms. So, and that affects the APR, right? So you could put in different pairs in the farms, and you could change the multiplier to give different yield, a different APR.
I'll tell you what would make DAO voting not a LARP. Fully trustless, so that there is no ability for anyone to not go against, like to censor or go against what is actually voted. So fully trustless system, which I've never seen it before. And the coin holder distribution, like at least decentralized to a degree where the vote actually fucking matters, where you don't just have like Uniswap or other examples where there are holders or groups of holders that have got so much voting power that even if it was trustless, it would still be a LARP. And then I think I had a third thing,
which is a really like fair comment to make. Like if you're going to have a DAO,
there was a third critical element, but yeah, it needs at least those first two before it even gets anywhere near off the ground as being not a complete LARP. Fully digital, and that should be obvious to anyone that's paying attention. By the way, that's why I forgot.
What do you mean fully digital? What do you mean?
You can't touch the real world. like as in it needs to be fully contained within the technical limits, either within that blockchain or within that ecosystem. Like, and I'm not saying where that boundary is for the protocol. They have to decide, like, as in it could be different for each protocol, but under the current state of technology, it typically would need to be within the same chain, but for it to be legit. Otherwise, it requires like an oracle. Then you've got the oracle problem,
okay.
et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we're talking about three key things that I've identified. There might be more, and if it doesn't have at least those three things, then it's a fucking LARP. And I've never seen anything so far that actually has those three things. Not even close. I don't even think I've seen anything that has fucking one.
I was going to ask Tangent one thing about so I've got like multiple things going on about that 9mm thing. I'm in the chat and I've got like another thing. Anyway, you know how they are creating this, like the Block Explorer, and they've got, it looks like a DEX, like to swap as well, 9mm. Did I see on their thing that they had a Uni V3, like asymmetric liquidity?
Yeah, they're doing heaps of shit, bro. They're doing an NFT marketplace. They've got the Block Explorer. They've got a DEX that's going to use Uni V3 style, asymmetric
style. So it's not, they haven't
using the
I just slotted that in there. I just slotted that in there because I haven't looked at it deeply enough to know whether it's that code or whether it's similar. But they are doing a asymmetric LP providing DEX.
Yeah, because the Uni V3 got forked as well, right? Like it exists, and you can.
Yes, that expired. The license thing expired on that.
Well, even to redeploy it is one thing, but the code itself got forked. So and the pools were there, so you can still add V3 liquidity using the V3 code, like Alex's.
You're saying the contracts exist?
Yeah. And the contracts like got forked. The core contracts for Uni.
Does that mean those LPs are just sitting there locked up at the moment?
Well, no, they've been drained.
Did the rate bot get them? Is that
a lot of yes, and like so a lot of like R bots and things like that. Like I think a lot of things just effectively drained those pools. Yeah, but then you can still add. So the you just need a front end to interact with those contracts, like the Alex's one, the hedron.swap.pro or whatever, and you could actually add V3 liquidity. So maybe that's what the 9mm guys have done, is they've just got like a front end to interact with those contracts, which wouldn't be that hard. In fact, there are tutorials and stuff where you can make your own Uni V3 clone, like front end clone. Anyway.
Hey bros, I have to.
Got a boogie? No worries. I got a boogie as well. Good to chat to you,
dudes. This has been fun. I hope I didn't sound too harsh towards DAOs. I mean, no offense to DAOs. Okay, I mean, no offense. I come in peace. So much exciting shit going on right now. I'm bullish. I'm actually relatively more bullish than I was. So you guys know I'm always bullish, but what I'm saying is my bullishness has been increasing. Awesome. So the rate of bullishness, right? The derivative, like the
did you just say the rate?
My bullishness, my bullishness is accelerating. Like it's
okay.
The second derivative of your bullishness. Yeah,
I've got an accelerating bullish. Would you say that bullishness it's the velocity, right? It's not the position.
Yeah. So as a bullishness on a curve, like and you're as a tangent as well. That's so funny. But as a it's the second tangent. Yeah. So the gradient of the tangent of your bullish curve is positive.
Yeah, is increasing.
The second derivative is also positive, so it's accelerating.
I was doing trigonometry earlier today and using tan. Like that's makes me laugh. I haven't done that. Like I haven't used it in years, and I was doing it this morning.
That's cool, man. I love it. I love the sentiment, and we just got to stay on Jex's timeline, man. That's all it's about.
I'm on it,
and we're as long as we stay positive.
Thanks so much for having us, bro. This has been fun.
No worries. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Enjoy your weekend.
See you guys next time.
Peace. Rock on. Catch you, bro.
Cheers.
All right. Yep. Thanks, 43. I'll catch you next week. And everyone have a good weekend. And yeah, thanks very much for the chat. Awesome. Catch you guys.